Okay. Good evening. Today is November 13th. This is the Norfolk Conservation Commission. As always, be aware that this is being video and audio taped. If you have something to say, be recognized by the chair and speak into the microphone and speak to the commission and not to individuals in the audience. The first thing on our list is 10 Kingsbury. Janet?
Is anyone here for 10 King? Thank you. Thank you very much.
See, you're number one.
They've got a copy of your application, and then they've got a copy of the plan, but if you just want to explain. I did stop by, just so you know. No one was home, and also I noticed you don't have a doorbell, which makes it a little creepy. But, you know, I took a couple pictures so the members, you know, who can't get by the site could kind of get a feel for, and I can see why you want to fix that up.
So you probably heard our dogs then. You probably heard the dogs then. That's why we don't have a doorbell.
Yes.
We have dogs. So at 10...
Oh, so first say your name and address.
Sure. Catherine Robert, 10 Kingsbury Road.
Okay.
What we are requesting is to be able to fix our deck. We're not looking to change the area of the deck. We are just looking to repair out the rotted wood. Replace some boards. We have some stairs off the back of the deck that we don't use, so we just wanted to square it off into a little bit more surface area and fix the retaining walls around it, and that's essentially it.
Okay. Everybody saw the pictures? Just a side note, have you applied to the building department? It's required.
I think that was our next step.
Oh, okay.
Our contractor wanted us to do this
Yeah,
first.
okay. Yeah, the building department on any decks repairs.
Yeah. I think he had started that process and got stopped
Got it.
to make sure we could do this first.
Okay. Janet now?
Oh, that's good. Is there anybody from the audience that has any?
Well, what's your thing? Everything's okay?
Yeah.
With what they're proposing?
Oh, no, thank you. Just FYI, because I think I had mentioned it when you were in about maybe erosion controls, just for a visual for,
Yep, so part of our plan is when the contractor starts the work is to put up some sort of barriers against the back of the hill
Yeah.
so that there's no materials that fall down into Kingsbury Pond.
Okay. We'd recommend like bales of hay or the,
they can do that orange snow fence. You can
Yeah.
get those at the box stores or whatever, you know, just
Yep.
to kind of, because that really drops down, and I hate to have people have to keep running up and down to get
Yep.
this stuff out of there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just to protect that resource area.
Okay.
Good, no, good, thank you.
is there anybody from the audience regarding 10 Kingsbury? Okay, seeing none. Members, do you have any questions, comments? Okay. You can sit down.
A motion, are you thinking motion?
Yeah, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion, what are we motioning?
Negative, I think it's negative number 3, that it's in the buffer.
A motion negative determination number 3, the work described in the request is within the buffer zone as defined in the regulations, but will not alter any area subject to protection under the Act. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent subject to the following conditions, if any.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes.
You in favor then?
Yes.
Okay, so
It was a silent.
That was a silent aye.
Okay, 710, 358 Main Street.
Oh, excuse me for 1
Yes.
second. You guys can come by and pick that up tomorrow? Oh, and then, right, since she's got the check too. You can do that tomorrow, 9 o'clock or later? Good, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. 358 Main Street, notice of intent. Come on in, Jim.
Good evening. Jim Susi with United Consultants. After the last meeting, I had met with Janet, and we went over the plans and the revisions that she was looking for. We made the revisions to the plan, and one of her suggestions was that we move all of the work outside the riparian and the buffer zones.
Okay.
I met with my client. He had no major problems with us moving, so we moved the house and the driveway so that there is no disturbance whatsoever in the outer riparian or the 100-foot buffer zone. So basically, we're withdrawing our submission for the notice of intent. Now, I believe Janet was out on site yesterday, so I'll let her pick it up from here.
Did you bring in new green cards?
No, I did not
Issue?
because we're withdrawing, so it didn't make sense to,
Okay.
you know what I mean? I did bring a revised form, file a revised form,
Yes,
but I didn't bother sending it out to the abutters because there was really no sense in it.
yeah.
We're withdrawing.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Right, and I also appreciate that they have the erosion control showing up on the plan.
Yes, we had staked it out.
Right, we saw, no, we saw that, but it's also shown on the plan, so they'll put something up before they start working out there?
Yes.
Good. This is good. No, and it's fine, and I appreciate everyone moving. That saves the whole order conditions, getting it recorded. Of course, I'll miss those site visits running out there to see how it's going, but I appreciate that, and I have no issues with that.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to withdraw the notice of intent for 358 Main Street.
I move to withdraw NOI 24620 for 358 Main Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any comments, questions? Anybody in the audience? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes.
And
That's
we'll-
the letter. We'll have to make copies, but
Right.
you're good to go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Jim. Okay, we're a few minutes before 19 Frederickson Road. Is anybody from
Excuse me
Frederickson?
one second.
What? Anybody from, oh, okay.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's about 7:13. We have to wait to 7:20. That's what it says on here. Why don't we go over minutes while we're waiting?
Can we do that if Jim's not here?
Yes.
We can vote. And then
Yeah,
sign that.
we have a majority, so we can vote, and then he'll have to sign it once. The first one is on Lake Street paving, that we had we do a motion for order of conditions, and that second sentence needs to be corrected. Amy, it says, Frazier second the motion, and then just say the vote on the motion was 4-0-1, with Mr. Feeney abstaining.
I forgot the T and doc, is that what you
Yeah, and you bolded it too.
Yeah, I generally.
Okay,
Bold.
okay.
So changing it to what, I'm sorry?
I just left the T, I wrote.
The vote on the motion was 4-0-1.
4, 0, 1, and 1.
I left the T off.
And
Oh,
1?
I knew that, yeah.
No, 4 plus 0 against, 1 abstain. Isn't that the number? Or no?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. September 25th, wait a minute. Yeah, I ended up with 4, 0, 1, and 1. 1, because 1 couldn't vote, and 1 something.
1 was absent.
1 absent, and what was the? September 25th. September 25th.
There were 5 members present.
1, 2, yeah, but Ally couldn't vote.
So she was the abstention.
No.
No, I
Oh, yes. Oh,
Oh, you talking about Mirror Lake?
Yeah, 39
no,
Mirror.
we're on Lake
Lake
Street.
Street. Lake Street.
Lake Street is correct.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
think 39 Mirror Lake, I said it was unanimous, but Ally actually couldn't
Yeah.
vote, so that should be 401 as well, with Ally abstaining.
Hey, no, I can't, I'm messed up. Go ahead, whatever.
Yeah, and the same thing up there, that the vote on the motion was unanimous. Anybody else have any questions or comments on the minutes?
39, one abstain.
I reviewed them and they're fine.
All in favor of accepting the
Two.
minutes of September 25th?
Aye.
Oh, make a motion, please.
Move to accept the minutes from September 25th meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is against? No. Okay.
What time do we have? Oh, 7:20.
About 4 more minutes. Let's see if we can get October 9th. I didn't have any issues with October 9th.
No.
Did you have anybody else?
All look good to me.
So I can move that we,
Let's see if Janet has any.
Just go.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes of our meeting of October 9th, 2019.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes
Thank you, Ryan,
unanimously.
over there.
Okay, do you want to talk about the Callahan Pond drawdown report? We got a couple minutes up before that happens. They sent us a letter, and the top board was removed on September 17th, and the water level was 10 inches above the inlet. A week later, on the 24th, the second board was removed, and the water level was 7 inches. After a week, the water was 3 inches above the inlet with no signs of beaver activity. And October 5th, there was evidence of beaver activity, but flow was mostly blocked from downstream leaves. Channel was cleared, and flow was 2 inches above the invert. On the morning of October 7th, few branches after clearing, the flow was 1 inch above the inlet. How far down are they going, Janet, on that inlet?
No, there's only 2 boards on there.
Okay, so that's it. Okay. So everything's going good in their condition, in their little project. And then on 15 Lincoln Road, there's a proposal that's to the planning board for a solar farm. There are all kinds of DEP issues there that have been in the file. So Janet wrote a letter to the planning board, giving them all the information that they need to continue their hearing on that potential solar farm.
Great.
Any comments? Anybody have any questions on that one?
Oh, just-
There will, and when,
But
yes.
FYI to let them know that might be coming in for our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be some, as currently designed, it looks like they're into the wetlands, so we'll have to take care of that.
Thank you.
Okay, one more minute.
Go for it.
Can we do, let's ratify the emergency certification form? That was for the beaver problems at Stony Brook.
Oh, yes.
And Janet gave the authorization for them to go do it because they needed to get that fixed in a timely period. And what we have to do is just ratify the certification form, so the emergency one, correct? Correct. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the emergency certification form for Stony Brook.
I can move that we accept the emergency certification form for Stony Brook Audubon.
Second?
Second.
Is there any number or anything assigned to that, Janet? Or-
No,
It's
and we
just a
have
letter?
somebody from,
Oh,
there you are,
yeah.
yeah, hi. DCR, and your name, I'm sorry? Oh, yeah,
Please.
sorry, I'm sorry.
My name's William Ashton. I work for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm the supervisor for Bristol Lake State Reservation, which most of you guys know as Mass Audubon Stony Brook. So I'm appearing on behalf of Doug and myself tonight for this.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that? Is it working?
Yeah, actually, I just checked it out before the meeting. We're having nice water flow over the top. The beavers appear to be happy. They're continuing blocking up the spillway, and it's a really great opportunity at a high-profile site to demonstrate, positive, responsible, and legal beaver control. So it's a really great thing to work together with the municipality, and we appreciate you guys being receptive to that. And hopefully, that was the end of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
What they did is put an inlet away from the dam and put pipes in, and so the inlet the water would go into it and then go down and not be interfered by any blockage. So,
Not hurt the beavers.
so all in favor of ratifying the emergency certification form, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. All right, let's go back to 19 Frederickson Road for an RDA. Please, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jenny Cunningham, and I'm owner at 19 Frederickson.
And you're proposing,
So we're proposing to put a pool in our backyard.
can you blow this up? Amy, please?
I got a copy here.
No, I got that. More for the public. Hey, Fred. Oh.
So can I walk up and?
You may.
Okay.
You want a pointer? I got a pointer.
No, let her use her fingers, come on.
So this is currently our home right here, and these are pavers. This is a deck, so this is accurate right now. And then there's the edge of the lawn, and then there's wetlands behind that. And Janet was out to our home, and we looked at it, and the way that the pool can be situated is such that it wouldn't be disturbing any existing trees or into the woods. It would currently be where we have garden and lawn. And then as well, the pavers and the fencing that we added in would also just go right along the tree line and not go into the
You're
woods.
putting pavers on that dotted line?
Okay, so the pavers would just kind of like go around the pool and then where we have grass
Okay.
along here, but not back into
Okay,
the woods at all.
all right. Janet, your,
And how about the fencing? Roughly, where is the fencing
So
going?
the fencing we would do, and I think that this is maybe a little old, but if I'm looking at this correctly, so the fencing would go probably, however much they
Yeah.
need on that side, but there's plenty of space
we're
so that it's set
concerned more
back.
of the buffer zone.
The buffer zone back here. So when we measured, we had plenty of space between the house and the map for the wetlands here. So it would probably be within that, what was it, the 50? Right on the 50?
Yes, see where where the pool black area is?
Right here, yeah.
Yeah, that's the
So we were
50.
trying to kind of skirt it so then we could have the fence right along there and it wouldn't be intruding into that zone right here. So we're willing to work. We don't want to.
Can you push it over a little bit?
The pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can definitely be
Push.
scooted, yeah.
Because you are right on the buffer zone.
Yep.
And we'd prefer that if you're putting up a fence, put that, by the
Put the
buffer
fence
zone.
right by this buffer zone.
Yeah,
Okay,
but not on it or over it
yeah, okay.
and violate it.
Yeah, we definitely have space to,
Just as a sidebar, because
Yeah.
that is basically lawn, so it's already a
Yes,
disturbed
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And the fence is a privacy fence? Is that the idea?
well, we currently have no fencing in our, so it would be whatever safety requirements
I see.
are needed for the
Okay.
pool. And that would, yeah, just be currently where there's grass running up along the edge, and it's really this, we would take special concern to avoid that
Okay.
little bump out there.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No, you answered what I was gonna ask, so I'm good there.
I think it looks good.
So,
You good?
RDA?
RDA.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for 19 Frederickson Road for an RDA.
What, negative number 3 again, in the buffer, but will not impact?
Yes. Is there a second? Oh, make a somebody just, you can say so moved.
Remember that? I'll make a motion
So
to,
moved.
so moved.
That's all you have to say.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. Thank you very much. Good luck. Okay, we got a few minutes before 12 Lakeshore. Somebody here from 12 Lakeshore? Okay. So we'll get to you in a minute. There's no updates on the Eagle Scout project.
Excuse me, just 1 second.
Are they working on the,
Oh, good. I
On the
couldn't
path?
find
Yeah, now that the mosquitoes are dead.
it's pretty cold out. I was just wondering if they
Yeah, I don't know.
shut down for that a little bit.
Here's the phone. Oh,
Okay.
just FYI, Eagle Scout, there was a
Sam?
department meeting, maybe last week, but
Could I just ask you guys something quickly?
Yes.
Oh, is there anything I need to pick up to have
tomorrow
on
morning,
Yes.
9
tomorrow?
o'clock or
Okay.
or later.
Yes.
Good, thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for coming. Because they were, they had the insurance guy coming in and talking liabilities or whatever else, but it came up about volunteers, so, anyway, I have this one over here so she can hear me. But Ann Proto was talking to me tonight, and I think she emailed me something, and it's something that we should have Sam, his parents go
Yeah.
over but sign. I haven't even read it yet.
Do we have a disclaimer or something like that for them to
Something,
sign?
so, yeah.
Do we have that?
Ann said about,
She'll send it once.
yeah, supposedly she sent it like late,
Okay.
6 o'clock,
think
so I
she's-
haven't seen
Yeah,
it
it's the
yet.
same one. It's just,
But
okay.
it's just something to,
Yep.
thank you.
And then, once we have it, then if Amy, you would just email Sam and explain what needs to be done and come in and sign it.
Oh, I could have done that. I'm sorry.
Let us take care of the enclave. We had, about 4 or 5 months ago, talked about the conservation restrictions for the enclave, but we've never voted on it, and we need to vote on it for natural heritage and have it all in the files, so everybody knows, the state, us, and the developer, that we accept that area as a conservation area. And there'll be a letter that I'll sign to that effect. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the conservation restrictions for the enclave.
I move to accept the conservation restrictions for the enclave.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any more questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, just-
Okay, good.
Okay, it is 12 Lake Shore Drive. Please, yes, say your name and address or function.
My name is Joyce Hastings. I'm from GLM Engineering,
Yeah.
and I'm representing Deborah Shortman, the Green Cards.
Oh, good, thank you.
We filed a notice of intent to repair the septic system at 12 Lakeshore Drive.
Can you pull that up a little bit, Amy, and blow it up
Sure. Which part would you want to focus
the bottom?
Just this.
Can you pull it up a little bit, or, please?
So Populatic Pond is here,
Yep. Okay,
is here.
yes.
We have a 100-foot buffer zone here. And the septic system, this is a cesspool that sits right here.
Right.
The cesspool has failed. This is a two-bedroom house. So we performed soil testing out in the front and are proposing to put 2 leaching trenches and the septic tank out front. There's a significant elevation change between the house and the front of the property, about 20 feet. There's a series of retaining walls. So what we're proposing to do is to install erosion control barrier, which is run through here from the house to here, and then from the house to here, to surround the areas that are being worked at. We're going to remove the cesspool and replace it with a grinder pump so that we can tie back into the pipe coming out of the house, and then put in a force main that will come up through this area here. This has actually been revised.
Yes.
This line, this is not the latest plan. So the line now comes here and goes across this way.
Okay.
Because they can walk the machine down through this timber wall. They're going to use a small mini and walk it down this way, ditch their way back out here, replace the wall as they need to when they finish. Again, install the pump in the force main and work their way back.
Okay.
And then everything will be stabilized, loamed, and seeded.
Okay. Yeah, we'll need the new plans to go forward with it, so that we know exactly what we're voting on. And also Janet's comments is you needed some elevation and floodplain numbers?
The floodplain has been added to, if I could. Floodplain has been added to that plan. It actually goes through the house. The floodplain, it comes in here and runs back out through the house.
Yeah.
Is that an updated?
It is, but it's.
It's not the fully updated one?
It's fully updated, it's just not,
Easily visible.
well,
Well,
unless I show you. So this is the force main. See, it runs
yep.
from here, it's the orange line that runs up through here. And the 100-foot buffer zone runs right through the house, in through this area, 100-foot buffer zone right through here.
Okay. So as long as it's indicated on the
It's right,
new one.
it's right
Yep.
on there, yeah.
And how about the elevations?
So the elevations are on there for the 100-foot buffer zone, and we're not
On the new
changing.
plan?
Yeah, all right.
Okay, all
So
right.
we're not changing any of the elevations here, we're going to stick with it. Here's the 100-foot buffer zone, we've got spot shots all around the house with grading.
Where's the flood zone?
Right here, it's this line here, and then it comes back out here, elevations right on there.
So when
It's going right through the house, so it comes up to the house, and then it goes back out the other side of the house. So the front, this area here is a little bit higher. And then everything from here back is in the floodplain.
okay.
But but with the installation of the grinder pump and the force main, we're not changing any of the elevations. It'll be just in the ground.
And I don't do Board of Health, does the flood zone elevation impact what they're doing?
No, because the field and everything is out here.
Okay, all right, so that'll be closed up. Once we get, we just didn't get a copy of the revised, and I thought, so this, because I know Board of Health was saying how whatever was on the original plan had to be redone.
Yeah, they
because-
shifted the,
They shifted the,
But
they
something
shifted the
about
septic system.
measurement from
Right.
the,
So,
couldn't be closer to some well than they were before or something, it's not.
so we shifted it around to make sure we have abutting wells all surrounding
Sure.
it.
So you're all set with Board of
Yes.
Health?
We're
Okay.
going back, we have one more meeting to go back to, but yes, everything's been revised to
You
meet
know
their
when the
requirements.
next meeting is?
I do not.
Okay, all right. 'Cause-
okay.
All right, so if somebody can get that revised plan over to us so we can peek at that
Mm-hmm.
and then just hopefully wrap up at the next meeting?
Okay?
Good, because then same thing, working out with Board of Health, so everybody has the same one plan, makes it easier.
Absolutely.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so for
Oh, so
12
continuate-
Lake Shore,
Right.
notice of intent, 240-621, I'll entertain a motion to continue that until our next meeting on December 11th.
Move to continue 12 Lakes Shore, NOI 240-621 to our next meeting, December 11th at
Put them at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So passes.
To 7.
Thank you very much. Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Good.
Okay, we got 5 minutes before 360 Main Street. Is somebody here for 360 Main Street? Oh, okay. So we've just got a few 5-minute dead time.
It's never,
You're very efficient at the end. I like that. Putting everything in.
it's not dead time.
Contemplation time.
Janet, do I need to bring up anything in regards to my situation on Spruce Road?
No, because you and I need to get together maybe tomorrow morning or
Okay.
something. 'Cause I've been getting more papers and information.
Okay.
Were you around when, Board of Health was saying, like, no
It's another beaver
emergency
Right.
problem at
cases?
Beaver
Yes.
Lake.
It's just a matter of you letting me
For
go
his
out there and
well.
just,
Oh,
so we can get
See,
some
I ha-
activity.
You know, and it gets into, oh my God, because I keep finding stuff or stuff I had and putting it all together, so you're welcome to look through it.
Okay.
You know, because part of that punchline is like you can go out and,
Uh-huh.
you know, track
Right,
it or
right.
whatever. you
Well,
know.
we're already in process
Oh,
of doing
I
that.
know.
Okay.
It's just a matter of to get the activity, we gotta pull down some of the dams so we
But
can
see,
get the
is
beaver.
the dam in the resource area or no?
I don't think so.
No, but
But-
then that wouldn't trigger us.
Okay, well, that's why I gotta talk to you.
No, that's it.
Okay.
I've been trying to in
All right, well, we'll
between
do that.
read everything.
Maybe tomorrow I can
Good.
hook up with you, all right?
No, super.
Super, thank you.
Oh, I'm not sure. Just call, because
Yeah,
I'm gonna be a little late tomorrow.
no
just don't know
problem.
what time.
I'm here all day.
10 Old Populatic, we need to vote on an extension. Do we have a number file for that?
24581.
24581. Okay, yeah, time's running out on that one, so we need to extend it. And it's extend for what, another 180 days?
No, these,
what's it?
when we do an order of conditions, that's for 3 years.
Oh,
You
okay.
can do 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, up to 3 years.
Okay.
So I didn't put in a date. I didn't,
You put in 3 years?
no, I didn't put in anything, sir. That's for the commission to
Oh,
determine.
okay, all right. So, that is the issue. So if somebody would make a motion and for no more than 3 years to extend the order of conditions.
Do we have to pick either one? We have to pick either
1, 2, 3, yeah, typically it's the 3. So, make a motion, please.
I move to extend the order of conditions for number 245-81 for 3 years.
Is there a second to that?
Second?
For-
On-
I'm sorry, 3 years?
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that passes.
Let's see.
Thank you.
What's his name? Jen-
Okay. 360 Main Street. Is Jim back up? You too? Yep, okay. Anything you need to present? Do we have, we've got everything, right? I have to wait 2 minutes. Gotta do it by the time that we put down.
You gotta sign that. That one right there.
Can you
Save it down.
move that up just a little bit, Amy? Yes. Okay.
What's all this stuff? Oh, 358, okay.
Okay, we'll begin 740, 360 Main Street, ANRAD 24622. Introduce yourself and let us know what's going on.
Good evening. I'm Scott Jordan from Ecotech, and I do have a butter notification.
Good, thank you.
I have Joe Meisner with me, the applicant. So we have filed an ANRAD seeking an order of resource area delineation, just for review and confirmation of the delineated resource areas on the property. What we're seeing here is Lot 1, 360 Main Street. This is part of a larger parcel that my company Ecotech delineated a year or two ago. This is about 6-acre parcel. You can almost see all of it. Goes down to Main Street. It's about 2 miles west of here, I guess. Old horse farm. So we were present on the property, and as far as this particular Lot 1 goes, we delineated an A-series BVW in the western portion, and that's associated with Mill River.
Yeah.
And that's just a narrow fringe of shrub swamp and wet meadow area. We attempted to delineate the mean in or high water line of the Mill River. We had waders on and everything. We hung a few flags. It became unsafe. So what we do in these cases, and we've done this quite often, is we ask the project engineer to use aerials to locate the channel, and we extrapolate from there where the channel would be, and then we show a 200-foot riverfront area pulling off of that. So you can't quite see this whole figure here, but the Mill River comes up like this, and then there's like an oxbow here. So we're showing a riverfront area, and we have BVW, and this thick dash line is floodplain, ELSF. We had that as a Zone A with an unspecified elevation. I think that we can talk about that. I think Janet may have found an elevation, but I'll let her speak about that. So that's what we're seeking. I think Janet may have done some field evaluation, and I'm happy to go out there and meet her if she'd like to take a look. So that's what we have on the property, and we're seeking just to get those boundaries set in stone for 3 years with the ORAD. So.
Okay. Before I turn it over to Janet, and your channel, I know it goes into the building. Can you continue your line to show us where it goes into the building?
Yeah, so what we have...
Fully knowledgeable, so it's, on the prints. Unique.
I'll show you what we have is, of course, that's an old mill. I'm sure everyone in town knows where this is. It's right on the curb.
Yep.
We get the mill pond, and then we have a man-made channel next to the mill. And you can see the straight line channel on the aerial. And that's sluiceway/canal. Under the definition in the riverfront regs, canals do not have riverfront area.
Okay.
That's to protect old mill sites.
Yep.
So somebody can eventually develop them.
Oh, okay.
There are several benefits that are given under the regs for old mill sites to help people develop those.
Okay.
So that's our interpretation of that. And then you pick up the main river stem. So this was dug, pulled off, to
Sure.
provide power for the mill.
Yep. Okay. Janet?
Okay, well, I couldn't see way over there, so.
Yeah, right.
Here. You want
Oh,
this picture?
stop, no. I want him to come look at mine.
Oh, sure.
Colored. No, because when we were talking today, so it wasn't just for, because, right, that goes underneath the road, does it go, so you're saying basically none of this per se counts, like a stream going through a culvert or something, right?
Well, it's a canal.
So there's none of this?
No, Canals do not have riverfront area
Until what
at 1058 under the definitions.
So where you have it up here?
It goes to approximately,
Okay, because, yeah, here's your zig.
yeah,
Okay.
so back in, this looks like it's probably about that. So we do carry our riverfront area past, we're carrying it out in here.
Oh, all
So,
right.
so this
Oh,
to me lines up with this guy. So we have the straight line man-made channel out to about
just the-
here.
the new colors.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I understand your
Okay,
question.
so none of this would then,
Right,
because David brought, it was a good point, because I didn't think
Right.
about this part. Okay, so, all right, so that's non-jurisdictional. Okay. And just
just
trying.
doesn't have riverfront area.
And just, no, don't run away, because trying to do the form, and I know before you guys did for the whole massive site, which is pretty neat, but, and that's my dirt, because I forgot my pen, so it was a way for me to say, yes, we were up here, but, so, you know, I can do the wetland flags from here over to here.
Yep.
That's not a problem. You know, the flagging didn't come over on here, but I can always say about the Mill River as shown on this plan.
Yeah, you're talking about the fact there's no physical flags on the.
Well, yeah, and, you know, trying to.
Right,
get A
so
to fit
again,
B.
this happens fairly often where we don't have either trespass rates because the river's off-site,
No, I
or it's in the
understand.
middle of a marsh, and even if we manage to wade out there and flag it, the surveyors are like, we're not gonna.
No,
Why'd you even do that?
I've,
So,
yeah,
so in most commissions, we're kind of hoping you'll just say it looks to be pretty good, and we agree as depicted that this is accurate.
okay.
And we have to take a
Right,
little
and
bit of a lead.
as
And we do
shown,
have another blown-up aerial, too.
you know, but as far as for the form, the state form, which, you know, as far as, I can say, you know, Mill River as shown on this plan,
Right, the riverfront area.
front area, okay. Right, and then FEMA, they have it, because you guys had marked this.
Yeah,
Okay, FEMA shows it as 136.
Yeah, the engineer extrapolates that. I thought that, I had seen that was a Zone A. So Zone A floodplain does not have a specified elevation. And you may be right, it may be a Zone AE, which would have an elevation. And,
Oh, I have more things, but double, because you can go right up to the FEMA site, and then they.
Yeah, yeah,
Up here was
yeah.
like 150, and then it switched down to the 136, which it kept
Okay.
carrying all the way through,
I
so.
can have the engineer double check that.
Okay, so, good, and then,
Double check that.
are you taking notes on all this, by the way? Okay, great. All right, so you got the 136, but also, because you listed that you were filing under the state and the local, under the local, there is a 100-foot buffer.
Off the floodplain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for
We'll
reference.
make sure that's accurate, and we'll show the buffer zone for that.
Good. Also, Norfolk has inland restricted wetlands, which is not, I'm just mentioning this,
Okay.
but it actually ends up, I do believe, within that flood zone, so that's not, I don't think that's anything, and that's more of like if you wanted to fill it and replicate, you
Right,
can't, so.
right.
But just trying to point, I was trying to.
Right, and then there will be some design based upon the project, based upon what we come up with here, and there's no way we'll be anywhere near there, but I appreciate the information.
Okay, good. So if we could, all right, so we're okay with
The
that.
floodplain's the big issue, we gotta,
The floodplain, right, and then you'd have, right, because under the local, there is a 100-foot buffer. Just-
do you have the Mass GIS, Oliver, showing the AE with the elevation, because
You know, you guys can kind of like do your own homework.
no, if you have it, I mean, I was hoping that if we could agree to it, I could just, maybe we
Oh, no,
could
no,
close
no,
and I'll
no.
bring back the plan with the 136 floodplain.
No, but if you can go right up to the FEMA flood
Yeah,
map
yeah,
and type
yeah,
in the
yeah.
address, and
Yep.
I was having problems, it kept twirling, and I'm like, oh
Okay.
my God, so, yeah, but if you can, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page,
Okay.
that everything gets listed, you know?
Okay.
Do they owe you anything?
Oh,
Check.
yeah, Joe, do you have the legal ad fee?
Joe gets the check.
I get the check.
What check? Oh, legal ad, oh, good. Is this, yeah, that's what, because I started on it, but it's like I wanted to check, I didn't, it's like, so as long as you guys are okay, the Mill River as shown.
Oh, so you would want to check this. Other
Mhm.
resource area would be riverfront area. That's all you
Well,
have.
but, it was on hold for finding out about this
Yep,
too,
yep, yep, yep.
And also then if you're doing the local,
We'll put
Okay, you'll
we'll
have
put a
the
buffer zone off the
yeah,
flood plain.
that doesn't mess people up if it just goes to the next meeting, right? To get the form ready and everything?
Well, if that's what we have to do.
It's cold and dark, nobody wants to be out there. But it,
It's just for them to get the drawings going. That's the big thing for us is having the good information for the civil engineers, because we're trying to get back in front of planning.
I think we have the good information. We just
There's
need
no
to clean this up.
surprises, yeah.
I can show you outside what we ended up with. It's basically what we have.
136, right.
So, yeah, if you get new plans to Janet.
Yeah.
And then we'll continue it to the next month.
Great.
And,
And then we can have that all ready and you can just
Perfect.
come get the next date,
All right.
because we have
Do
to
you know
make
the date for that next hearing?
11th.
December 11th.
Great.
So we- at
You're
least a
taking
week
my
ahead.
plan? You're taking my plan?
So yours?
If you need it for a cheat
Looks like
sheet,
one of
I would,
She's got dirt on that, you can't take that one.
Okay.
any questions though, please call or stop by.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to continue ANRAD 24622 until December 11th at 7:05.
I move that we continue the ANRAD for 360 Main Street, number 24622.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments before we? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Okay, that does it for all the public hearings of active items and action items. So we'll go to old business. And the only thing left is 144 Seacon Street. Are there people here for, on behalf of the, okay, Chris is here. And I see, okay. So, sorry. Wait for Amy to, okay, how we'd like to handle this session and hopefully come up to a resolution so the applicant can be finished for our part and continue with the ZBA, is that we've got a lot of information from both sides. We've heard a lot of testimony from consultants on both sides. And so at this point, the commission is ready to proceed. And what we'd like to do is I'm going to walk us through and then provide the recommendations, then open it up to Mr. O'Hart, and hopefully we can just have a good, genuine discussion and see if we can come up with a resolution for this. So Amy, if you would put up the first video, slide. I guess the large one? No.
I don't think you gave that.
Okay. And if you could just, okay, we can leave it like that.
Sorry.
So, this is the area. The ANRAD with the state was borderline. Can I have yours? Please. Just press the green button.
Yep, or red.
Okay. So this is a borderline wetlands that the state approved. And so, leave it at that. And then we heard from people that there might be possible other wetlands, and that's when the zoning board asked us to take a look at it. Now, Ted O'Hart has put in a lot of test holes, and that was more for wastewater, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Now, on the print that we were given over here, there are a number of holes that aren't identified with all their information. And I can give you the list, but we would, or the zoning board at least, I would think, would want that information. It's not as pertinent to us, but it would be for the plans.
Actually, I think we'll hear it out, but
Can
just,
Ted answer, please, Chris?
well, I'm not sure if Ted's fully aware of what exactly was done as far as the peer review.
Okay.
So all of these, and we have, I don't know what information you're suggesting is missing or whose handwriting that is.
That's Janet's.
Janet's?
But this was the print that was given to us.
Okay.
And so she said, okay, well, where's the next number? Where's this number? Where's this number? Where's that number? And because they're not identified properly on here.
Just all the soil testing that was done on site was witnessed by the ZBA's peer review engineer, Tetra Tech.
Yep.
So we can, to the extent there's any lack of clarity as to what information is shown on this plan, provide all the raw data
Okay.
that was peer reviewed. So we can get that to the commission if the commission wants that data.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be nice to know, this information for each of the test holes. That's all we're asking. Again, no impact on what we're going to be talking about tonight.
If I might, it's just, it was all numerical, but some of the numbers were missing. So I was just wondering if they were out, there's number 1, there's number 2,
They're not in
here.
sequence. They're not in sequence. If you count the
And you-
columns, if there's 26, that would correspond with actual tests.
I was just, with not being,
Yeah, the numbers, they were definitely not in sequence. So.
Use
if
the
you count
microphone.
columns and if there's 26.
Chris, could you
that
give
is
him?
the actual
Oh,
test number.
oh, Ted, you've got a microphone next to you.
okay.
If it matters to this board, you have to just count these columns. There is 26 full soil logs that were witnessed by a peer review.
Mhm.
So just, if you want to scroll down, Amy, and see how many test logs are there. Or on that page, if you can shrink the page down, we just count. But the numbers aren't in sequence. So is there 26? Is there 13 in each column? Who's good at math? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, so they're all there.
Do you think
There's
some of
none
these
missing.
test holes were not complete because you hit granite or whatever?
I didn't come up with the number sequence, that was the engineers,
Sure.
but this is, Tetra Tech will have the same numbers, this is the complete
Okay.
testing. There is no, so on the red mark down here in the bottom of the right-hand
Yeah.
column, did you find a test pit corresponding with that number? Anywhere on the
It seemed
plot?
like they were going in order, and then one would be missing, so it was
It's,
just...
who knows what way an engineer thinks, but the numbers weren't in sequence.
was
But
just
this is the
curiosity.
complete, there is nothing missing.
Okay.
It's a complete,
Okay, and again,
So they just can't count well.
well, they didn't put it in sequence, so. Possibly we started holes and then hit ledge or hit a boulder and moved over.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
or who knows? But that's the 26, there is nothing missing.
okay, yeah, can you shrink that? So our concern is, and we'll go back to what Patrick Gardner said, just as a basis, that this was number 1, 3 was like around here, and then there's this wetland area here, but this was number 2 area where there was potentially a stream. So I think you only have the 2 slides?
No, I have
And 2 pages from the report.
Okay, no, yeah, what other slide do you have?
Well, I have the 4 that you gave me.
Okay, this one, okay. Can you pop that up a little bit? Okay, first we'll go to number 3, and that's been eliminated. We've talked about it in other meetings. It's not an issue for us. So, we'll go to number 1. And what we feel is that there could be an isolated area, and it could be a potential vernal pool. What our recommendation would be is that, if possible, this area isn't touched at the moment, and that in the spring, like around a Patriot Day, with melting as normal, we'll be able to verify that.
Do you want us to respond to these one at a time?
No, not yet. Let me finish, please. So that's what we'd like there. This number 2 is, again, we're not concerned with the fill, and there's been all the discussion about the fill. That's basically off the table now. But looking at the wetlands and where the stream, seasonal stream might be, comes into the number 2 area. And again, it could be a potential seasonal stream. We would recommend that that area also be marked off. And then in the spring, we just look at it and an answer can be a determination. You have to come in front of us possibly from the ZBA, and depending on, timing, I'll give it to Mr. O'Hart first. What kind of an impact would those 2 decisions be, or recommendations be, for 1 and 2? Use your microphone.
Sorry, but in what context, as far as?
Do you think, if we vote that that's what we'd like to do, is basically kind of mark this area and just wait until April to give you the final verification?
Well, can I?
I'd rather have Ted. I'd rather not have lawyers involved tonight.
Well, the problem is the lawyers started this entire,
I know.
this entire
But if Ted says
series
he
of
needs
events.
your advice or recommendation,
There isn't, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
if we superimpose the project,
Okay, put
the
the next
testing,
slide
go
up.
back to the testing.
Go to the next slide.
I believe it's the one where we had the question, Janet, right here.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't have a pointer. So this here, these 2 tests.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the numbers are, but this test and this test are in Mr. Garner's, just drop it. Yeah, so 2020 and 2019 are Mr.
Yes.
Garner's area 1. So I was given permission to test these 2 areas. And when we tested them, we got deep soil
Right.
logs,
Right.
which you have. So area 1 was right here.
Yes.
On the periphery of these 2 test spots, we have because Mr. Garner had mentioned it warrants further investigation. So I think we fulfill that requirement with the 2 tests for further investigation.
Okay.
So I brought an expert here to attest to the
No,
soil logs.
No, we don't need any new
And then
information. We've heard from them before.
But just
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
No.
But you did ask
No,
me.
you're not recognized, Chris.
So you did ask me to explain
Yes.
area 1.
Yep.
So part of the requirements when
Okay,
you
can
do deep.
excuse me, can you put up the one that is the project? Because we put red dots on the project itself where we think that one. Kind of blow it up?
Yeah, so same area.
Yep.
The-
Move it. Okay. So
So-
it would be that area.
Exactly. So, and to put this in perspective for the audience, Mary's horse stables are right around here.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is the plateau on the top where the little round
Yes.
runaround is there
Yes.
on the top of the hill with the tree stand. So this is just below that. There's kind of a flat plateau there, which the topography should show. We did the testing, which was advance notice 12 days, was recorded by Tetra Tech's engineer on site. We got the soil logs. And then when you do test holes, you're required to fill them. We fill them.
Yes.
There is no more area 1, it's filled. It's gone. You can't, if there's a test hole at the door
Yeah.
and a test hole here, when you fill in these holes, when you dig it with a 50,000 pound machine, everything gets filled in and graded.
Okay.
So there is no more area 1, it's gone. I had suggested possibly last week that Janet was welcome to visit the site
Right.
to report back to you. I hope she got the opportunity to go up.
No. Well, no, she would ask permission before she
So,
walked up there with me. And she wanted to wait to, I told you that today.
I'd be glad to escort Janet up, or Janet's welcome to go up herself to see. She just let us know when she's going up. So area 1, as per dig safe regulations, was filled in because there was 2 holes in the periphery.
Okay.
Ted, tell them the history of Area 1. Why was there a hole there in the first place?
So area 1 had been one of the spots we were looking for ledge, and there is ledge there. Again, the soil tests will confirm that. At 88 inches, we hit
Right.
ledge.
Yeah.
So, but we have the soil tests in case there's any of the board members would like
Right.
to see that information. I think that would be critical tonight to evaluate the actual soils. So there's no mottling, no water visible. You know, it's sand.
Okay.
And it's 88 inches deep. The holes, the test logs are actually on the prior sheet.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much, it's a done deal. I don't know where this,
Okay.
But Ted, the hole that Mr. Garner was alleging was a wetland. Why was there a hole there?
I wasn't allowed permission to go back onto the property to backfill in 2017.
Right. And that's where you tried to dig to see where there was ledge, wasn't
No,
it?
I had an engineer with me. We were digging
Yeah.
for a week up there.
Yeah.
And there was ledge in this particular area.
Right.
So,
Okay.
But this is critical. He was not able to fill the hole that he created.
Right.
so there isn't,
That is the depressed area that
Yes.
Mr. Garner then identified as an alleged wetland
yes.
because it was filled with water.
Yes.
So had Mr. O'Hart filled that area at the time, after he dug the hole, Mr. Garner never would have seen a puddle there, so there is no Area 1. There never was an Area 1.
Okay.
we're just kind of chasing our tail here, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
no,
There is
thanks for the
no,
clarification, and, I mean, again, it's history that we've talked about of why it was there. Now, Janet, how does that impact your recommendations for Area 1?
we have the soil logs. We'd be happy to provide.
No, that's okay. We've got all your data.
Well,
I believe
Mr.
that's-
Turi and I were just trying to, this afternoon, what are the concerns? So that was one of the areas from Patrick Garner originally.
I think we fulfilled, or we kind of resolved Mr. Garner's concerns by carrying out the additional testing, which the town had pre-approved 12 days in advance. We did the testing, witnessed by an independent expert, Tetra Tech, who I pay, but they're there for the town's
Right.
benefit, to verify everything's
Yep.
legit. The testing logs are here. I'm curious why you wouldn't want to look at them just to resolve this. When you see that it's sand, 88 inches of sand, it's not possible to have a wetland in 88 inches of sand or 68 inches
Yeah.
of sand. So I think we should move on. That's my personal feeling,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Janet?
No, we can cover the other areas.
Okay,
And
but so
Janet's-
what do you want to,
Janet's welcome to visit the site.
what do you
I
sug-
appreciate that, thank
what do
you.
you suggest for 1?
Well, I mean, it's commission
I know,
members,
but
too.
what's your recommendation?
I haven't seen stuff. It would be nice if you could share it so
you
that
wanna see
if
the
it
log?
finishes a chapter.
You want to see the logs?
No.
No?
2019, it's on the plan, Amy, 2019 and 2020. So Janet can see this logs for herself. And that will help resolve
That
this.
from the other plan with all the numbers?
Yeah, go. It's the testing one where we had some missing numbers that aren't actually missing. Go back one more. I believe it's sheet number 7 in that last submission in October. All the test holes.
Is it one of the ones I've already done?
Yes, it's all the test holes.
The one where we counted the,
Uh,
Is it on the index?
Well, they're looking for that. All of our guests, is there a sign-in sheet out there?
There was.
Okay, so if everybody, make sure they do sign it before you leave.
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
So 20, 20, if you can blow that up for Janet. it's-
Again, these two,
You want to see the data on 20?
Yeah, 2020 and 2019, I believe, are the two tests.
okay,
So that's it there, Sandy Low.
there's 20,
Yeah, that's the two. And we have Dr. Rockwood here to further attest. And he's visited.
no, this was, I mean, good information, and that's what had been reviewing, and then as Janet and I were talking, it's like, okay, how do we move forward with this? But forgetting that, yeah, as you filled in those two, that area probably got filled in too, so,
Exactly, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Does anybody on the commission have a question regarding one and the facts, or what the recommendation was? Okay. What? Okay. Okay, that's.
May I?
mm,
Very
no.
briefly, just so we fully understand what Mr. Garner's allegation was? Because we really want to put this to rest. I think,
Yes, for all parties.
so Mr. Garner had requested a hyper-accurate survey of that area to measure the size of the
Yes,
depression. And the size of the depression would have dictated whether or not it was subject to protection.
right.
But again, that area was an area that was just recently excavated.
It was man-made.
So, well, it doesn't matter that it's man-made. If it was man-made from years ago,
Yeah.
that's fine. But this was a hole that was dug, and he was prevented from filling it up just in 2017.
Yeah.
It held water when Mr. Garner visited there in February of 2018, and the allegations flowed from that.
Okay, yeah.
So we disagreed with the allegation initially, which is why we sued the board.
Right.
Which we'd like to resolve tonight, if at all
Right.
possible.
Okay.
As you can see, it's all sand.
No, I'd rather
Okay.
we cover them all and get people's
Okay.
opinions, you know?
Then, can you go back to the slide to show Area 3?
Let's keep
I
this.
mean, Area 2? And can you do it with the plan, the development plan? I think it's probably just as easy. Again, the test holes are showing the same type of information. Yeah, just blow it up a little bit. So, this is a little bit different because,
It's the one above that, isn't it?
no, it's this one. Can you bring it down a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that, yeah, this is like the number 2 area, and what I would say Janet's, because on her education, background, and being our agent, is suspect that this could possibly be a seasonal stream feeding into the wetlands that the state already approved. So what we'd like to do is see this area in the springtime.
I believe, can I respond, Mr.?
Yes?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, you and I both stood there in that
Yes.
area, and we both observed where it flowed downhill, turned, and then went back uphill. And then we spotted the blue circles on the trees to say it was a horse trail.
Yeah.
So not even in Norfolk does water flow uphill. So it's,
Right.
there is no stream that flows uphill that I'm aware of.
Is the elevation up here higher? Or-
Well,
where is it
this
lower?
isn't actually a surveyor's or an engineer's map. This is just somebody with crayons doing dotted lines.
Janet.
So I wouldn't, yeah, it's not actually an engineer. Let's go back to the actual engineer's plot
Slide.
plan. So you can see the topography
Okay,
here.
blow that up, please.
So this is actually
Okay, go
complete
more
by an
over this
by an
side.
engineer.
No, the other side.
I know.
Oh, I know, okay. Okay,
There we go. So that, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So these are the two large boulders. I don't know if Jim
Yes,
remember.
yeah.
So they're very prominent features. They're right there. This was the old hole by Mr. O'Driscoll from 2006, 2007. Yeah, 2006. We have that information. we have this soil test, we have 2022, and then this is beta 1 and beta 2 here. So we have all that information. Your own expert said this was not a wetland. So I believe we should move on from area 2. When your own experts that you've hired have said it's not an area of concern, why is it it's still an area of concern? I'm puzzled.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Janet?
No, keep going, keep going.
Okay. 1 minute. So those are the 3 areas that
But, Mr. Chairman, there is no 3 areas. We've just determined
no,
area 1's
but
not...
we haven't voted on them. We're going to vote on each one of them to resolve them, one way or another, or to, as a further decision has to be made. Dan, you have a question, Attorney Hill? I could use a microphone, please?
Mr. O'Hart just was making...
Introduce yourself.
Sorry. Dan Hill, attorney for the town. Mr. O'Hart just made a statement that the so-called intermittent stream was flowing uphill. And I've got the Andrews survey plan, topographical plan prepared by the applicant's engineer. And I don't see where the land goes uphill towards the BVW. Is it possible for them to point that out on a plan?
The contour lines aren't straight, they're not parallel, they're actually curved.
Mhm.
So the blue dotted area that myself and the chairman stood in follows one of those contour areas that and it wings back up.
Do you have the Andrews plan, Amy? Can you put that up?
So if you go to the field actual site, you'll see exactly what I was talking about with the chairman.
Do you have the zoning enforcement file? Because it was done during the zoning enforcement matter. Yeah, go to the next page. There might be yeah, next one. Yeah, there we go. Can you zoom that in? So the stream would go from this direction up into this direction, and all these topographical lines, they start at 218, 216, 214, 210. It all goes down. So I guess I don't understand what he means by going up.
May I, just to clarify, obviously the chair walked the site with Mr. O'Hart. The chairman of the zoning board was there as well. This is based on either aerial photography or a drone overflight, so it's not hyper accurate. But what we're asking, or what the zoning board is voting on apparently, is whether or not there's suspicion of a jurisdictional stream per the definition under the local bylaw.
Yes.
Which is a definite channel, okay? Having walked that area with Mr. O'Hart, what Mr. O'Hart's describing is if you try to follow what the beta report described as a hydraulic gradient, when you follow the hydraulic gradient, there are areas where it appears to try to move uphill, probably in this area. So clearly, yeah, if you drew a line here, you would tend to see on this topographic plan that there's some hydraulic gradient, okay? But the reason why, when this board delineated the wetlands in 2017 and 18, they did not conclude that there was a stream here, and I'll get to that in a second.
That was the state.
Well, hold on. I'll get to that in a second. But the reason why no one said stream is because there was no definite channel.
But if I could interrupt, I believe you have to point out that, oh, we think there's a stream here, and the state would look at it, wouldn't they?
Mr. Rockwood's here to, well, sorry to
But-
interrupt.
No, but, and I wanted it just to remind, clarify, is that, no fighting, please, but the ANRAD was for, they just did for BVW only. So, and that's all, there was nothing, and I just want to make this point, Mr. Hart, so you understand, because, excuse me, when you started with the zoning board, I did do a memo with the idea that, you know, the way you're looping this whole thing around, that back end of the BVW, you've got that stream that goes down the hill, so you'll have a stream crossing there. I just want to make sure people understand. Where, right, no, super. Oh, thank you. Why are you being nice to me? And I lost my whole trend of thought.
I
No.
really just asked a very narrow question. We're kind of getting far afield. I only wanted to understand what he meant by going uphill, because I
Yeah.
don't, his own top, it's his plan. I'm not making this up. This is his plan, and it shows it going down. So that's why I don't understand the disconnect.
Excuse me, can I respond?
Chris?
I'm curious, what shows going down? You're looking at contours. The area Mr. The chairman and I walked on, it doesn't, there is no direct path down. It meanders up the hill. It's a horse trail. There is nothing, no stream there that's going straight down the contours. It actually heads back up the hill, crossing over several contours.
Okay, I got my, when I have a chance.
Okay.
It's also critical to understand, and we'll put aside the issue of what we asked to delineate, but when this went to the DEP, Amy, if you could zoom out a little bit. Actually, do you have the SORAD plan from the DEP that added the flags? And again, you know, the beta report that I guess we're now relying on, because the Garner report has been now superseded by the beta report, but the beta report doesn't conclude any definitive channel. They don't make a conclusion regarding definitive channel. The only thing mentioned in their report is a hydraulic gradient. And had there been any suspicion of a definitive channel, well, if we can put the plan up, and I have to let Mr. Rockwood speak to this as well, because he truly is the expert on the subject, and it might help sort of add some clarity to this. This is it, yes. If you could zoom in on this area here, please, Amy. Right here. Perfect, thank you. So if you recall, an abutter appealed the ORAD that was issued by this board, and again, putting aside whether it was under state or local, but they appealed it under the State Wetlands Protection Act to the DEP, alleging that this delineation under the State Wetlands Protection Act was incorrect, and that in fact the wetlands were more extensive, okay? The DEP went out and walked the site, as we all know, and after much back and forth, they forced us to add what you see as wetland flag A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah, a little tail.
Okay, exactly. Had there been a stream here, all right, there would have been a stream that was jurisdictional within that newly added wetland now, because they've created an additional isolated vegetated wetland. They're saying that this was somehow jurisdictional under the State Wetlands Protection Act, which if it is, and there were in fact a stream there, they would have determined this to be a stream, but they didn't do that. And I'll allow Mr. Rockwood to elaborate on that whole concept and why there's not a stream there, because there's no definitive channel. But the DEP has already determined this issue because they looked at this issue. And in closing, as far as this stream, all right, again, we sued the board. Whether we asked for a stream to be delineated or not, we asked for this wetland resource to be delineated. The flag stopped here.
Right.
Okay? Stream, bordering vegetated wetland, bank, whatever it was, had there been any resource of concern in this area up here, the flags would not have stopped here.
Okay.
All right? They would have forced us to go up. So our litigation with the Concom is, you've already stopped right here. You can't now come back and tell us, well, these flags actually go all the way up the hill. All right? Now, that's a legal argument. Dan Hill has empowered this board with the legal argument that the ORAD is extremely narrow. All right? That wasn't something this board conceived. It actually took a couple boards to get to that point to say, yeah, we're going to go back and revisit the ORAD. But you have yet to receive any evidence, and you have to go on evidence, that there is a definitive channel. There's no definitive channel. So without that, if I could please, let Mr. Rockwood describe why there's no definitive channel and why it's non-jurisdictional. I'm going to turn it over to him.
Go ahead, Dan, and then we'll have Dr. Rockwood.
All right. So Chris's recitation of the facts is not correct. The whole stream issue came from Mr. Garner. Mr. Garner, on page 5 of his report, outlined the stream. The outline of the stream starts at this area, not this area. This area. What Beta said in their report was that they corroborated Patrick Garner's finding that there was a stream on the site. Beta didn't say the stream started at wetland flag 71. It didn't say where it started. All she said in the Beta report was that we agree with Mr. Garner that a stream is here. Further, Beta did not say there's no definite channel. They didn't say one way or the other if there was a definite channel. What she said was there's a hydraulic gradient. So logically, the next question to ask to Beta is, hey, did you mean to say there's a definite channel? Is there one? Isn't there one? I'm assuming that she knows how to read a wetland regulation, and she would have seen these criteria for an intermittent stream in the wetland bylaw, in the regulations, and that if there was no definite channel, she would have said that. So I think we have to give her...
She didn't say it either way.
She didn't say it either way. But I think we have to give a wetland scientist a little bit of presumption that she knows what she's doing and knows that there has to be a definite channel in order for an intermittent stream to qualify under the bylaw. So I just want to correct those facts.
Dr. Rockwood?
Okay, for the record, my name is Dr. John Rockwood. I'm a Chief Environmental Scientist with Ecotech. Since our last visit, I have actually gone to the site. I hadn't been to the site before that. On the bottom of page 3 of the Beta report, Beta actually includes the definition under the bylaw of what a stream is. So they're quite aware that a definite channel is necessary for it to be a stream. So they just chose not to use those words.
Just direct your comments to us.
Yes.
They chose not to use those words in their discussion. They use different words, which aren't the words in your definition. Can we slip this down a little bit?
Please.
Thank you, Amy.
Please, Amy.
Please.
Thank you.
Go up a little bit.
Yep. I want to show area 2 down
Okay.
to the...
Whoop, whoop.
Yep, that's good.
Thank you.
There's a horse trail out there. And what the horse trail does is it starts going down this way and then it curls up this way. So it doesn't follow the contours down towards the wetland. What happens is it goes down and then it curves uphill. There's a small berm there. Water comes down this area, fills behind the berm, overtops the berm, and then goes through sheet flow down towards the wetlands. So there is no definite channel in the ground.
Well, wait a minute, if I could interrupt you. You're saying a stream does occur up there.
There's a trail up there.
You said a stream.
There's a trail.
No, you said a stream just...
I apologize for my word choice.
Okay.
I have a formal letter that explains the
Yeah,
process.
but no, you
We're just trying to clarify. Thank you.
It's a trail. It's a trail.
Okay. Not a
I
stream.
misspoke.
A trail, okay.
So what there is this is where the trail goes. So it goes down and then it curls uphill. I described it in my letter in great detail.
Yes.
And what happens is the water flows down here, concentrates behind the berm, overtops the berm, and then sheet flows towards the wetland. There's absolutely no definite channel between these two wetlands. There's no definite channel in this location.
Amy, could you pull the drawing down a little bit? Where does the water start, do you believe?
Well, it's Basically, you have a steep slope this way and a steep slope this way, so the water.
So it's
goes
just a
and
natural flow after a rain?
concentrates in the low spot. That's what water does, it moves downhill.
Okay. Questions from the board?
So we're talking the water, when you say water, we're talking when it rains and we have an event. It's not running it all the time, it's just when we have a rain event.
It's not the seasonal type.
It flows in response to precipitation.
Okay. Huh. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet, any comments?
No, we're good.
Okay, now I'll open up to the public. If you would, please use a mic, identify yourself.
Lorraine Sweeney, 14 Stop River Road. I have a couple of questions, but one of the things I want to do is just respond to a comment that Attorney Agostino made regarding the isolated area that DEP had identified when it issued the SORAD. Yes, through the chair. Back when the SORAD was initially issued, they provided myself, because I had been the one to appeal to DEP, with a copy of their decision immediately. And I asked them if the area that we're discussing or identifying as being isolated was connected, because when you look at it in plain view, it looks like it's all one. Denise Childs, Section Chief for DEP Central Regional Office, explained to me at the time that there was actually a 10 to 15 foot separation between the BVW that they had identified to be state and what she clearly stated was a non-jurisdictional wetland, which was the isolated area you see there delineated on the plan. So I just wanted to clarify, at no point did she say that was jurisdictional under the state. She said they had them add the flags because they were there, they saw it, but it didn't meet the state definition.
But we haven't received anything in writing from DEP to confirm that.
And you wouldn't, because they don't get involved with local wetlands. But I just wanted to clarify that.
That becomes a hearsay, I would believe, in legal terms, because we would need proof from, or have Denise in front of us to talk about it. But yeah, we need, not that we don't trust you, but we need fact.
Okay. The other issue that I wanted to discuss this evening was really asking the board if, not the board, excuse me, the commission, if you intended to either work with Beta to have them formally respond to some of the issues that Mr. Rockwood raised in his opinion letter, or if you would at least allow the neighbors to provide some feedback before you make any decision relative to any violations that may have occurred back prior to September of 2017.
Okay. I'm not going to give you an answer, but thank you.
May I at least, though, submit a letter signed by all my neighbors requesting that?
Yes.
Thank you.
But until the commission discusses that and how we're going to go forward, I don't want to preempt what they may want to do or not to do.
Okay. Just one more thing. In the meantime, and you may not wait for this information, but we've made arrangements with for a drone to fly over the property during the first snowfall, because it will mirror. The snow melts in the areas where there's stream and the wet areas, and it's our intention to submit that information should you still be willing to accept it at the time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience, neighbors, abutters? Okay. We'll close up on the comments. Ted, do you have anything to say before the board starts talking about it?
I just hope after 2 years we can finally close this and get some resolution.
Okay.
It's gone on too long, so.
Mr. Chairman, if just to close the loop, and we had sent emails through council to this board that, you know, initially the goal of the litigation in this board, against this board, was to stop the investigation in its tracks because we felt it was unwarranted and in violation of Chapter 40B and among numerous other reasons. But we came before this board because we were assured that you were going to act independently, you were going to look at the evidence and the experts that provided you with evidence, and there was no predetermined conclusion that you were going
Correct.
to reach. When we read the beta report, we figured that would finally give this board the comfort and the evidence it needs to close the investigation that it voted to open last year, okay? So the ask that I presented to Attorney Hill, and I don't know whether it was conveyed to this board, the ask to settle the litigation globally would be a vote to close the investigation and determine that there was no violation per the beta report. And number two, this is the wish list, and from what I'm hearing, and I'm sure Attorney Hill is not necessarily going to agree with it, and we don't necessarily need it, but the ask on the other part of it was affirm the ORAD that was issued by this board in 2018 as determinative as to all wetlands on the property, which is what we had asked this commission to do when we applied for the ANRAD. That was the ask. Now, that's the legal argument we're making, okay? We don't even have to do that to what we would see as settle the litigation, all right? The only other one that's creeping out there that we'd like to get finalized is this stream allegation.
Yes.
Okay? We would like a vote that, based on, you know, the evidence that you've heard from Mr. Rockwood, all the evidence that's been before this board over the last year and a half, and, you know, your own personal observations in many instances, that there is no stream, that the ORAD delineates the extent of that area, whatever you call it, jurisdictional, non-jurisdictional, whatever it is, that's the line. We relied on that line when we left this commission the first time in 2018, and we'd like to leave tonight relying on that line, okay? That's the wish list. Frankly, as far as tonight, I don't know, you know, what Mr. O'Hart might want to do, but if we could at least just vote to close the investigation that you voted to open, that's clearly something that's within this board's power as far as we're concerned. We'd like to see that tonight, and I think the O'Harts, after all this time and suffering through this, they deserve that much.
Okay. Commissioners, do you want to?
Can I just ask one question? What were you, I'm sorry, so what were you just saying about the ORAD?
So our litigation against the commission, we allege that we applied, the ANRAD that we submitted asked for a delineation of all wetland resources on site. That's how we viewed it, okay? Now, I know the commission's argument is that it only was a delineation of one limited resource area under the State Wetlands Protection Act, all right?
That's what they submitted. That's what they submitted.
If you read the first page of the ANRAD, it says application for delineation of wetlands under state and local, okay, state and local.
But they also reference flags.
They just did bordering vegetated wetland.
But again,
That
I
was the
understand-
only bordering vegetated wetland was the only resource. They didn't talk bank, land underwater flood zone. They just did BVW on that original ANRAD.
I totally understand
Are
that.
you agreeing?
No, I don't agree
Oh,
with that.
okay, good.
I don't agree with that.
I
But
can
that's,
tell.
you know, so understanding, I think the scope of the litigation would be, or the ask to settle it would be, that's the one wetland on site, based on everything you heard. Now, I don't think you're going to do that tonight, but those were the two asks. I think the middle ground would be close the investigation and stop a new investigation about a stream, which is essentially where this might be going. But I leave that, you know, to the board.
So you're saying that's acceptable? To say, end everything now, but we are concerned about the stream and we want to look at it in the spring?
No. I would say, I have to talk to
He
Mr. O'Hart about whether we would drop the
I don't think he
litigation.
wants us to look into the stream. I think he's saying drop it and not pursue further investigation, is what I'm understanding, is what you're asking.
Yeah. Sorry. Again, to clarify, just so that we're absolutely clear. And again, I think we've witnessed, the zoning board has a hearing open. The zoning board can investigate whatever they want.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, really what we're going to do, Chris, is we would give them our recommendations, because we don't have a case in front of us. So we would give Chris Weeder and the ZBA, here is what our order of conditions would be. Please take those under referral as you go forward with the application.
If you actually want to say, in the context of their hearings, to investigate a potential, they can do that.
Yes.
They absolutely can do that.
Yes.
It's just a question of which board it's in front of, because as much as I've enjoyed working with this board since I was drawn over here,
Okay.
we
Send you
want to be
back.
back over there. So,
Okay.
so that would be, yeah, so
Okay.
close the investigation, determine no violation, no nothing arising out of any activity or allegation ever on that issue. And then number two, just acknowledge and get it back to the ZBA as far as, you know,
Okay.
any references. That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
And when this lawsuit goes away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
just-
wait a minute, can Dan
While,
talk
while
first?
you have that up, don't stop scrolling.
Thank you.
Chris just mentioned the cover to the ANRAD. Can you scroll down to the ANRAD form? Yep,
Yeah.
right there.
Right there.
There. So
Thank you.
you keep saying it's local bylaw. It doesn't say that. It says Massachusetts Wetland Protections Act. When someone is filing a Form 4A ANRAD application and they want it to cover both, they write below Wetland Protection Act, they write local bylaw. At least they do in other towns I've worked in. So
And if you, excuse me.
I
just
admit it
go
was
to the
sloppy
ne-
work.
Just go to the next page, right there, right up top, where they're just BVW.
I admit it was sloppy. If you keep scrolling down, you
Well,
will
no,
see
but
that we
we're
paid the fee
sloppy
for
or
the
not.
local
But all they said
determination.
was BVW. That's all. That's all that they specified on their form. And even the form issued by the state, if you look after the signature page, it says whatever section that is, C or something, with that's all people are agreeing to. It doesn't mean that there's not other things out there. So they had
I-
originally just asked for BVW. That's all. Okay.
I understand the argument.
And you see that.
Yep, and I.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
All right. So back to the commission.
Yeah, I think, I don't have any additional questions. So do you think that we're ready to just?
You want to talk about it in open and then make a recommendation for vote?
Yeah, I don't think we need to go into executive
Okay.
session.
Alan?
I agree.
Okay.
I have a
to
few
just talk about it
questions
now.
that I,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that,
So,
wanna go-
what we've talked about is, do we go into an executive session or not? We do want to try to keep it public, and we will keep it public. So we're going to discuss amongst ourselves publicly. You'll be able to hear it, but I won't address any questions that you have. So, do you want to start?
I mean, no, but sure. Okay,
Please.
do we think we wanna go, should we go one by one?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess for number 3.
Yeah,
it seems
that's
evident
no
that
issue.
That's not an issue, so I think we can just, are we voting by?
Yeah, we'll do vote 1, 2, 3,
So should
just
we-
to keep it clean.
Okay.
But not now.
Okay.
We'll talk about all of them.
Okay.
And then we'll vote.
For number
1 is the top.
1 is the top, I think, in my opinion, it does not,
Meet it?
I don't.
Speak up louder.
I agree. Go ahead,
I think
say
that
it.
it seems like if it's from what was presented tonight, it does not seem to me as though that is a violation.
Fred?
Well, I agree. I think in general, there are two issues before us. One is we need to determine if there's wetlands anywhere on the property. That's what our
Correct.
bylaws require. Then there's a separate issue that was brought up by counsel for Mr. O'Hart, that the resolution of the lawsuit pending against the commission. I don't know that that should be what we're talking about tonight.
No, the lawsuit is secondary.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the facts that we have and from all the reports, all the verbal from people, testimony.
I think we should stay focused on what the requirements are for the commission, which is determined if there's.
Okay. What's number
And
one?
I agree with Alex that number 3 is definitely
Yeah.
not from everything we've seen. And that number 1 appears to be, since it was filled, I think they make a pretty compelling argument.
And the test holes kind of confirm that because of how
Right,
much
the sand
sand
levels
is in
and the
there.
88
Close
inches.
by, it's not going to have.
I think it's a reasonable position, and I'd have a hard time saying that, well, it might be wetlands.
Fred? Alan?
I agree with both Alex, Fred, on that. My problem I'm having with is I have not been out to the site, and I would like to see Area 2, personally. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm sitting here trying to picture water going uphill, which I know it can't.
Yeah.
And I've been a hunter for years, and I understand where the
What's a
valleys.
horse trail,
Horse
hunting
trail.
trail, or
A horse trail is gonna cause a deer run, will cause water to run down it when it rains, so but not seeing the area myself, that I'm having a little problem with number
Okay.
2.
What do you say, Fred? I'll start with
Point
you.
of order.
No.
Can we just?
This is point of order.
Well, okay.
Point of order is when you say Area 2, we're talking Area 2 that was circled by Mr. Garner with respect to
To
the
the stream.
allegations of alteration, but the stream was, the other area is downgrading from Area 2.
Yeah,
It's not
it's-
in Area
it's
2.
the
Yes, I'm
stream.
talking with Mr. O'Hare, was standing with you, that particular spot.
The
I would just
stream.
like to see the elevations physically, because looking at numbers doesn't tell me nothing, I have to see it. And that's all I'm saying when, in this discussion, is Area 1 and 3, I'm with yous on it. Area 2, I'm having that issue because I can't physically, see it in
Yeah.
my head. That's all.
Fred?
Well,
For the stream?
Yeah, it's hard for me to make a determination based on, what was discussed tonight, but I think I'd be leaning against the idea that there's a wetlands there.
Okay.
I agree.
Which is how I feel.
You don't
also.
think there's a wetlands?
No.
Okay. Janet, what's your input?
No.
I think that I understand the inclination to want to see the site, but I also think that we've heard from, in my opinion, enough parties.
I agree.
make a
I agree with that,
determination.
too. I'm just saying, without being able to see the site, it's hard to
Yeah.
determine that.
And I appreciate that, but I think that at this point, it's,
I also like to say that I know that there are people here who are very concerned about this, who are butters of the property, and, but they're separate concerns, as far as I can see, that don't meet the requirements of what the Conservation Commission is supposed to be doing.
and I think that if we have a continuing concern, I don't think that it should be in the form of continuing in front of us. I think it should be in the form of presenting our concerns back to the zoning board.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should be deciding what we
Yeah.
want to propose and forwarding that to the zoning board of appeals and determine, and let them take that into account
So
as
you
advisement.
would make the motion for this intermittent stream is it's possible, but at this point, we're not making a
We don't have
determination.
we don't have enough
I
evidence
don't
to
think
make
there's
a
enough
determination.
for it
Yeah.
to be before
Okay.
us at this point in time.
I agree.
Okay.
And my only, if I could, now that they've said that, and my concern with, per se, intermittent, non-intermittent, whether it's worded properly, is just, when you look at these plans, I don't, and if I'm saying it wrong, lawyers, please don't slam me, but the thought of is at the beginning of where the water comes from for that wetland area, and if you do something, are you cutting off the flow and then drying up that BVW? But, without per se being out there or whatever, you don't want to make a bad judgment call, So I don't want to do anything to mess up your project, hold it up or whatever, but to hit that comfort, and I don't want to push April, because I don't want, but just to, normally if water's flowing, that's when it's flowing. is it possible for people to see things that time of year? If there's nothing flowing, there's nothing flowing, end of story kind of thing, you know? It's tough, you know, when you've only been a few site visits and depending on time of year, what are you seeing, not seeing? When we were first at one point there, I didn't believe there was any water going through because that's when it comes out the other end and goes through the rocks. So it's like, what stream? But when you see it with water, you know, it's a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
So you don't want to mess up stuff that might be going on now. That's all. That's my only.
Mr. Chairman, I would also just like to add for the record that, you know, I've been on the board for less than a year, so came in sort of halfway through this. But when the Garner report came before us, and then when he was here at the meeting a few months ago, I think he made it very clear that these were observations and that his recommendation to us was that we look at this. He didn't, in my recollection, make the assertion that these were wetlands or that there were streams. He said we should want to
And I
look at it.
think he was very careful
And
to
then
say
the
that he
second-
was not making a conclusion, and that he was saying
I
what you
agree.
just said, to make
And the
a further
second part of that
investigation.
was that once the beta report came, it cleared up many of the issues that he had raised. And so I'm satisfied based on that,
Okay.
speaking for myself.
Dan, I'll recognize the Commission's counsel.
I think Fred just actually nailed it, because I think you don't have to make any kind of decision or ruling on the stream tonight, because that really wasn't the issue of this process. This process was about, was there a violation of the Wetland Protection Act or bylaw in the form of filling? And I think the only area in question on that was Area 2. So the fact that there's a stream out there, there's no ANRAD before you. This process is before the zoning board, and as Chris has said numerous times, he thinks the zoning board should be the one with jurisdiction over this.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about the stream tonight. In fact, the zoning board's peer reviewer is Beta, it's Marty Nover. Marty's been tasked with evaluating wetland impacts from the project. So within the scope of her review will be, what do we do about this intermittent stream?
Okay.
Is there more investigation that needs to be done to confirm that it's in fact a stream? If it is in fact a stream, what should the zoning board do about it? Should they impose conditions to keep the project away from it? So that's really before the zoning board. They'll come to you at some point, say in a couple months, asking for your recommendations. You'll make a recommendation based upon Marty's subsequent review. So I wouldn't worry about the stream tonight. I think the only thing to worry about is, was there a wetland violation on Area 2? You've gotten a lot of evidence from Marty and from Pat, and I think I'm hearing from you folks that you don't think there's a violation, and personally I think that's a sound judgment. I don't think you have to worry about anything else tonight.
Okay. Any final comments?
I think we should vote.
So then, I think our conclusion is that there's no wetland violations for Area 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
So if somebody would make a motion regarding that and just reference 144 Seekonk Street in the motion.
So we're just moving to make a determination. Well,
Well,
we're just
con-
moving to close the hearing?
Yeah.
Well, what are
It's
we
not a hearing.
moving?
Close the case.
Just to close our investigation?
Yeah. Close the investigation.
I move to close the investigation for 144 Seekonk Street upon finding that there is no
Wetland
wetland
violations.
violation.
For, okay.
For 1,
Leave
2,
it at-
and
No,
3.
leave it just at wetland violation.
Could you restate that?
Sure. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Speak up in the mic.
It should be very specific, so there's no.
Yes.
Okay. I move to close, well,
The case.
the case of investigation for 144 Seekonk Street. What else do I need to say?
With
Upon-
finding no violation.
Upon finding no violation at the
Wetland-
site.
wetland
Wetland violation at the site.
Good.
Is there
Thank
a
you.
second to that?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 It passes 4-0. Ted, I think that we would like to maybe walk the site with you so that eyes can actually see what we saw. I mean, you point out to me, but that maybe on a Saturday morning or something, we can meet at your place and walk it and just have it in the back of our heads if it comes back in front of us.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if there's gonna be a quorum up there when we post the meeting,
Yes,
48 hours in advance.
yes.
I think it was mainly Alan that wanted to see it, right?
Well, if anybody else wanted to see it, and so.
That and Janet brought it back up again, that one area, just to look at it, and so I just like to see it.
Unless
myself.
Janet wants, we want to do it during the week, so you can go out.
Well, we can.
We'll
move them
discuss,
on.
we'll get back to you, Ted, on that one. But thank you very much for your patience. I know it's been a long process with us, but again, we wanted to be fair, hear everything, and we made our decision. Thank you. That's it for the action items and old business. And do you have anything else?
No. I say we close.
Okay, I'll take a motion to
Wait,
close.
Was everything signed? We're okay?
Yeah,
Do we have anything else to sign?
I need those 2 letters.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I would entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I move to close the meeting until December 11th.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is now closed.
Um,